All right, let's do that again. Director of Marketing Events at Startup Junkie. For those of you who are not familiar with Startup Junkie, we are a mission-driven organization that exists to support innovators and entrepreneurs. We do that through one-on-one, no-cost consulting with individuals with, an idea written on the back of a napkin all the way up to $25 million in revenue. Small business owners, makers, you name it, we're here to help them succeed. So that we do that with consulting, and we also do that through events like this here today in our virtual world through our virtual webinars. So we really appreciate everyone for joining us today for inexpensive tech tools for startups. Very interesting topic. Proud to have, an honor to have Dave Bellomy with us. Dave is the founder and CEO of SumoStrategy, a fractional CIO advisory firm dedicated to becoming a trusted technical advisor for small and medium-sized companies. Before starting an IT consulting firm, Dave was a chief information officer and spent 18 years in IT and Walmart sales. After a successful career leveraging technology to solve business problems across several industries, Dave now provides strategic technical leadership for companies that cannot justify a full-time IT executive. Dave graduated from Texas A&M University, but we won't hold it against him. But he did receive his MBA from the University of Arkansas in an effort to pacify his Razorback friends, and maybe he just prioritized, baseball and basketball over football. He and his wife, Allison, have 4 children and have lived in Northwest Arkansas for 17 years. Dave is available for fractional CIO partnerships, key projects, as well as private consultations, and you can reach him. We'll drop this in the chat as well at dbellomy at sumostrategy.com. I'll include that in the chat box. And also wanted to mention throughout this presentation today, Dave's going to talk about different programs and different offerings. And as he talks about each one, feel free to drop your questions in the chat box, and there'll be a break in between each topic where we'll go and review those questions, and Dave will take a moment to answer your questions. So be mindful and just go ahead and drop your questions in the chat box when they come to you. All right, Dave, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I think we've covered just about everything on this screen already. Really, the idea for this topic came from working in IT for a long time and being familiar with designing solutions to remove friction from users' lives and to move businesses forward, to becoming an entrepreneur myself. And as I learned over the years, cash flow is king. And so in getting started, I'm looking for opportunities to kind of delay the spending on some of the technical necessities that are out there. And so I figured that as I'm going through this journey and I have the benefit of, maybe a little more experience on the technical side, that this might be a topic that would be useful to others. So the things that I've learned, the conclusions I've come to, and, also just the really cool tools that are out there that some folks might not know about. So as Caleb mentioned, if you have questions along the way, please put those in the chat window so that we can address those before we move on to the next slide, because it's basically a slide for each of the tools, and they're not necessarily going to kind of flow together. So let's talk about it while we're on the slide. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. And I just wanted to preface before going into individual tools, and the format is we're going to talk about Office Suites for a minute, because that's kind of a foundational thing. And then we'll go into Dave's top 10 list of other tools that are affordable. So I have 3 here. I'm calling them an Office Suite because I don't really know what else to call them. As you know, Microsoft Office started. Microsoft 365 is one of the options up here. And it used to be called Office 365. It was a natural evolution from the Office Suite, but this is more of a tech platform because what you see is that with the 3 options that I have here, it's really kind of the basis that you're going to run a lot of your technology on in your business. So if you look across the bottom in the orange, you'll see just the core functionality that each of these options provide for you. They host your email so that you can be at, instead of a Gmail account, it'll be SumoStrategy or whatever your domain is, .com, and you can have that professional look. You have the ability to create documents and presentations and spreadsheets. All of these have an online kind of basis. Some of them do a better job of also having a local. Some are completely browser-based. Some of them have local installable programs that you use for those things. They all handle your calendar, so you can schedule meetings and whatnot. They have various collaboration capabilities. Each of them do. They also all have cloud storage, and they all provide some level of integration with other solutions and systems that are out there. So that's what they all have in common. The things that are different for each of those, Microsoft 365, where it kind of branches off on its own. They have Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, which, as you know, is kind of that is the baseline in the industry when it comes to Office Suite. That's where you're going to get the most complete functionality. And if that's important to you, then that's a really good option for you. The other piece about that is that those are legitimately downloadable or installable programs. So it actually lives on your computer. You can get full use out of those without having to be connected to the internet. So if you do a lot of traveling, you're going to be disconnected. That may be a great option for you there. Also, they have Microsoft Teams. Now, GSuite and Zoho, which some may not be as familiar with, they also have collaboration solutions in there and the ability to chat. These are things kind of like Zoom, and they work similarly. Teams is actually a mashup of like Zoom and Slack. And so it is intended to really house all of your collaboration. And I'm a fanboy when it comes to Microsoft Teams, to be honest with you. And they've done a really great job, and they're very aggressively scaling that. And so I think the trajectory that they're on, they're going to continue to develop a really great solution there. Also, SharePoint is included with Microsoft 365 and certain versions of that. There is a business version that includes that, and the price point on that is $12.50 per user per month. And so as you're starting out, that's actually a really good deal given what you're getting for it. And so SharePoint is kind of like the internal, it's like your intranet for your company. It's where you'll put announcements. You can have internally facing web pages. You can host files in a place where everyone can get to them. SharePoint's a really good thing. And I would say the other thing that's really great about Microsoft 365 is that it's infinitely scalable. So the largest Fortune 500 companies, out there, they often run on Microsoft 365. So if it'll handle them, it'll certainly handle your startup. And I would say, you see the little green banner there, the primary reason for Microsoft 365, if scalability is important to you in the future, that's going to be a great option for you. The second one is GSuite. And by the way, I've used each of these. I don't think that any of them are bad. It just depends on what you're trying to get out of it. They are really excellent at document collaboration. So for GSuite, you can open a Google Docs or a Google Slides. My presentation actually today was originally made in Google Slides. It's nothing to be super proud of. I managed to just do a plain white background, but it had the capability to do more. The collaboration between that and Sheets and the different documents that are there, you can have multiple people in there working at the exact same time. You can see everything that's happening, and you can even, for example, in Excel, you can send someone a link to a specific cell inside your spreadsheet. And so collaboration is great for that. There are a lot of integrations. They work with Google Forms as well, so they provide great solutions for capturing information as well. So this is really easy to use. If you've had any experience with Google, they're they do a pretty good job of keeping it simple. So If ease of use is something that's important to you, GSuite's a great option to go with. And the final one is called Zoho. You may have seen some advertisements on TV for this. The reason I brought that up is because they legitimately do have an offering that is comparable in some ways to Microsoft and Google solutions. They of course do the email and the documents and the presentations and whatnot, but they also will include, they bundle with that other tools that would be specifically useful for startups. And there are things that you'll see there's an overlap with some of the other tools that they have with some of their suite of tools. It overlaps with a lot of the things that I'm going to be covering shortly. So if getting a bang for your buck is important to you, Zoho is a fine option to go with. They have a CRM that's integrated. In fact, Zoho One, which I believe is $35 a month, $35 per user per month. Zoho One provides something like 50 different apps that you can use. Some of them, one of them would be the email, one would be the documents, one would be the presentations solution, but they have a CRM. So that is a customer relationship management system. And it is certainly adequate. It's great for getting started. You have the ability to export out of there if you choose to switch over to something different later. They in fact have two different apps out of an acquisition, but they have that. They have accounting. You can do invoicing straight from Zoho. They have a project management solution. They have a marketing automation tool that's out there. And so if you go check out, it's called Zoho One. It's $35 per user per month. The catch is that you have to include everyone in your company. So if you have 3 folks in the company and you say, hey, I'm going to save some money and only do one person, I don't exactly know how they know, but if they get wind of that, they'll charge you $75 per user per month for the ones that are using the solution versus the ones versus if you use it for everyone in your company. So those are the 3 office suites or really tech platforms. And so are there any questions on this before we move forward?
Don't necessarily have any questions in the chat box yet. Dr. Barton did mention, though, that OpenOffice is an alternative to Microsoft Suite.
That's right. And yeah, and so when it comes to the actual creation of documents, there are quite a few more than what's listed here, probably over a dozen. The thing that I was trying to encapsulate here are the ones that have all of these things in common. So email and calendar, and it's really the platform that you're going to build your business on from a technical standpoint. I'm not familiar with if OpenOffice has those, but it's certainly a fine solution. And if I remember correctly, it's completely free too. So that would be another option. Okay. All right, well, we'll move on then, unless someone else has a question. Okay, so that was the kind of the baseline, and now we'll get into the individual tools that I'm recommending. So the first one is Trello, and I'm just now realizing I've failed to put the links to where these are, but it's pretty easy to figure it out.
I can drop them in the chat box.
Okay, thank you very much. I surround myself with people who are better than I am, so very good. So Trello is a great program. They have a free tier, and you can then scale it up to $10 per user per month. And the way that they gauge that is free for 1 user. And if you want to have teams and collaborate with others, then that's where you start to pay. And they don't have a requirement that you use everybody in your company, that you sign them all up. It can just be for the number of users that are here. But this is a Kanban style to-do list, basically. And so you get to have these different boards. So this is one board called IT strategy, and then there are different columns there, and you get to totally customize those. You can put them in whatever order you like. And then within there, you can put the different to-do list items, and you can customize this however you like. You can move the individual cards from one column to the next. And it's super easy to use. They do have a mobile app that's pretty good. and it's a great solution when it comes to to-do lists. Any questions on this one before I move on? Okay. So
yes, there's Shelby Foster said, would you recommend Trello over Microsoft Planner?
So here's the deal with Microsoft. If you chose Microsoft 365 as your platform, and you're paying that $12.50 per month for each user, you do get a number of tools that I didn't even get into that are incredible. So Planner is a great solution. It works with this. It works very similar to this. And I would say if you're already paying that price for that, go ahead and use Planner if it's working for you. I would not necessarily recommend that you pay for that and have that as an option and then still go to Trello. But you know, if you've chosen to use GSuite or Zoho, or you're doing something else using GoDaddy Webmail or something, this is a really phenomenal option. The thing that I've noticed about Microsoft is they have a kind of a bad habit of giving you 3 or 4 different solutions to the same problem. And so you'll have Microsoft To Do, you have Microsoft Planner, then you'll have different task lists that are available within their SharePoint and within their Teams solutions. And so the one thing I would say that is, if you're going with Microsoft 365, choose how you want to use the tool, and then make sure you have alignment with everybody in your company. Trello is kind of easy. It is really hard to mess up, and everybody just naturally plays by the same rules versus some of the flexibility that comes with Microsoft.
And Dr. Barton also mentioned, explain Kanban for non-quality geeks, please.
Okay. Yeah. So Kanban is where you are basically have a list of tasks, and they're put, they travel from one bucket to the other. And whenever you have a project and let's say that your responsibility, let me see. I think the example that we have on the screen isn't really great for illustrating it, but if you had different statuses inside of a project, so you have kind of the backlog, and then you have the defined column, and then you have a column that says active, and then you have a column that says testing, and you have all these different tasks that are in the backlog, and your responsibility is that you're supposed to define them. What you might do is start at the very top. If that's the rules of engagement that you put in place, you start at the very top of the list. And if it's green, if that's the rules that you put in place, you drag it over to the define column when you finish the definition process. And then the person who's responsible for actually doing the work, once they see something in the definition bucket, then they would then pull it over into the active one. And so it allows you to provide some prioritization based on the order, and it also you have some priority flags, and as you can see, some color coding. You can kind of do it how you like, and also kind of puts it in different statuses that are just delineated by the bucket that they're in. So and hopefully that's helpful. There's probably a lot more technical definition of it. Okay. All right, I'm going to move on to the next one. The next one here is actually related. It's Asana. Asana is a great solution here. This one also has a free tier, and it can scale up to $25 per user per month. I didn't put each of the breakpoints in between there, so it doesn't jump completely. Some of them are more stark than even that. But their free tier is really generous. I actually use Asana, and this one here works even at a free tier for individuals as well as teams. And they break out the pricing based on functionality. So you'll see the timeline, or the Gantt chart up here on the top right, and that functionality is something that is part of the paid tier. Down here on the bottom, you can see there's a listing that's grouped into the categories. So they have the planning bucket, and then 3 tasks that are below that. That works. That is something that both of those views are things that Trello cannot do. And so this is a step beyond what Trello can do. Notice in the background there, these crazy shapes or whatever, but you can include pictures on the cards, unlike Trello. And that is a Kanban style as well. So that's all in the to-do column, then there's the in progress column, and then there's the one that's hidden. And so you can use it like Trello, but this one is a lot more functional, and it really is a project management solution. I use this one for my business. I use this. My wife actually also is a member of the team, and so we use it for things around the house even, and we assign different things to one another, and then we get to remind each other that, well, that was assigned to me. Why did you do it? And so I have ended up at the bank 10 seconds after my wife left because of us not communicating, not following the plan on Asana, but we don't have that problem anymore. This one here is, you'll notice, has a blue thumbs up, or then it's a SumoStrategy blue thumbs up, by the way. This, I only have 4 out of the 10 that I put that on, and those are the ones that I'm saying, basically, if you aren't at least looking into seeing if this is a good fit for your company, my personal opinion, you might be doing it wrong. They're just that good. So Asana is one of those. Highly recommend it. Lots of features on the free tier. Okay, any questions here, Caleb? Okay.
Doesn't look like we have any questions yet.
Okay, perfect. So we'll move on to HubSpot. So I know that HubSpot, there was someone from there that spoke in a recent webinar, and that they have a startup program of which Startup Junkie is a part of. This is an incredible tool. It's another one that's a high recommendation. You see the thumbs up in the corner there. I use this as my CRM system. Again, that's a customer relationship management system. They have, their CRM is a free tool. They have expanded features that go beyond it, but their whole thing is it's absolutely free forever. So now you can see that it does scale up, and they have advanced features. They're only, from what I can tell, the base CRM is absolutely free. There are some features that you can unlock that are more than just kind of a base thing. They're more advanced. I would say for maybe 80% of companies out there, and especially startups getting going, you can get a long ways down the road on the free tier of HubSpot. So it is a true CRM system. It is very scalable. There are really large corporations who use HubSpot for their customer relationship management system. They have great integrations involved. Like I said before, they have a startup program. So you can see it can get pretty expensive. But some of the things that they have, I put the free features over on the right there. I know I'm breaking all the rules on what you're supposed to do in a presentation. I'm crowding a bunch of text on the screen, and it's about a 2 font. Sorry about that. But I did want to kind of walk through what we're seeing here in the background. You can see the deal pipeline, and you can see kind of where these different deals are in the process. So there's deal created, and you can see those there. All of the text there is hyperlinked, so you can click on it. You could also see that there are different people who are assigned to each of these deals. That's because this is designed to work with teams, even in the free tier. So you can put your whole team on there. Then you see over on the right, there's details about your contacts. Down below that, there's where you can have people schedule meetings with you, and that's totally configurable on how, how long of what are the options for how long a meeting can be. I only want to give 15-minute slots, so I can kind of move through my day, or you can make it up to, an hour or longer. And you can integrate that in with your Google Calendar or with your Microsoft 365 calendar. So if you put something on your calendar, it blocks out those options, and you don't have to manage 2 things. The other piece there is on the bottom left, there's tracking on your emails. So when you send an email out, you have the ability to see when they've opened it, and if they've clicked on links that are on it and which ones. Those things do feed back into the system so that you can do analytics on it later. This is a great tool. Some of the other things that they have a chatbot builder, a form builder. I have a form on my website right now for our SumoStrategy talent network that I built within HubSpot. And when someone goes in and they put that their information in, they put in their their resume and whatnot and how they'd like to interact with us, it automatically adds that contact into our CRM for follow-up. They have the appointment scheduler. I did mention that Zoho has a CRM. Microsoft used to have kind of a soft CRM, and I don't even know if they're still using it. It was somewhat related, integrated in with Outlook, but I don't believe they do as part of their the package that they have. If you're using Zoho, look for the two are called, one is Zoho CRM, and the other one is called Bigin, B-I-G-I-N. And but yes, this is completely free. Don't be scared by the $1,200 end of things. There are quite a few steps between the free and the mortgage or house end of things. So again, this is one of the top picks. Any other questions on this? I love HubSpot.
Dr. Barton asks, can the HubSpot calendar be used for multiple services? For example, first meeting 30 minutes, in-depth coaching 1 hour, and so on.
Yes. So the links that you have, like in your email, that says, "Hey, schedule a meeting with me," you can create multiples of those. And so those you can attach the one that is appropriate for where they are in the process. Absolutely. Okay. All righty.
Yep, we have another quick question. It says,
okay.
Where do we find the appointment scheduler on HubSpot on the free tier? I'm paying for Calendly, but would like not to.
I don't blame you. I like saving my money for other things as well. Oh goodness, I'm going to have to go. Can I circle back on that and maybe, I don't know if it's show notes or if you'll get that person's information.
I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, but it is a really cool feature, and it is on the free tier because I know I'm not paying them money, and I'm using that. It's been great. But I'll find out where that is for you. Okay. Awesome. All right, we'll move on then. Okay, so the next one here is Canva. Canva is another one that is got the high recommendation here. They have a free version, and the top of the line is not $1,200. It is $13 per user per month, and it's only for the users that you want to have in there. You can create teams in Canva and share your projects. Think of it as an alternative to Photoshop. Now, of course, there are things that Photoshop can do that you'll never, be able to do here, but it allows you to take some of the design pieces into your own hands, and things like designing a professional post for Instagram or for Facebook or LinkedIn, and something you want to put out there, or designing business cards or other things like that. This is a great tool. Fantastic tool. I love it. They do have thousands of templates, so you don't have to be artistic at all. You just start typing what you're wanting to do, and it's rather intuitive, and it'll start giving you recommendations. And you have lots of photos and illustrations and icons and different pieces of art and things that you can include in there. You can change the background. You can download things with a transparent background, for example. It is really easy to use. There is a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get in there, I found it to be very intuitive. And in the year or so that I've been using Canva, they've really added quite a few new features. They do have some really neat features. So there are examples of templates on the right. So you have brochures and business cards and letterheads and labels and logos. My logo was created using Canva. You can see it there. I also created my business cards on Canva, and it's a front and back, and they're right there underneath the screenshot. You can see it. I created that myself. I am not an artistic person. I used a template as a starting place, and it allows you to create your own kind of brand folder, and it has all of the assets for your brand. So it has your logo, and it has your colors and your fonts and all of that for reuse on any project. Really great thing about the business cards is that when I made it in Canva, there was a point in the process where I said, okay, I'm done. And the next step was to click up on the top right and say, print business cards. And so they also have print services that are integrated. And then I had a lot of options that I could pick from. And I was able to order those cards, and I wanted a really nice premium thick paper. And so I was able to choose that, and I chose whether or not I wanted it glossy or what have you. And they came, and it was just a great experience, and nice box and all. But yeah, they'll do the printing as well. If you're creating, say, a post for your Facebook page or some other social media, it will automatically, the template will be at the right dimensions for that particular site. And the to-do at the end, instead of saying print business cards, it would say publish to Facebook, and you can link your account, and the integrations are pretty extensive. So it'll allow you to really save some time and take some of the guesswork out of how those things happen. And I've saved quite a bit of design time of paying other people to go do some of these things for me. Canva's fantastic. I'm paying the Canva Pro membership for $13 a month. Don't tell Canva, but I'd be willing to pay 20 for it, or 25 more. But I'm just that big of a fan, and it adds that much value to me. So, any questions, Caleb?
Don't have any questions on Canva, but Dr. Barton did find that Hubspot scheduling link online, so I dropped that in the chat box for those who are interested.
Excellent. Okay, moving on then. So Canva is here, and I intentionally put Unsplash next to it because if you use the premium, let me go back just real quick. Sorry, I didn't get all my thoughts out. I've got a lot of words to use sometimes. So when you are starting a new project, you choose a template to work on, and that gets the dimensions right. It also will pull up the different starter examples to pick from. Add your own color schemes. But when you're in there, sometimes you want to add photos. So if you're using the free version, photos and graphics and all of those, there are some that are free, and then there are some that have a cost to them. And they have a little icon that looks like a crown, and it's a premium content. And if you're on the free tier, you can totally create designs that don't have any premium content. It doesn't cost you anything. But if you pull in an icon or something that is or graphics that is premium, it'll tell you what the cost is, and maybe $1. When you get ready to download, it'll charge you the $1 for that, plus the $1 for the picture that you had. And it's not a super high cost, and it's very reasonable. But if you use it for any time at all, and you just want to kind of throw off the shackles, you'll have unlimited access to the templates and the photos, and there's no upcharge for anything unless you're having something printed or what have you. So that's Canva. Unsplash they have over 1 million photos to pick from, and it is completely free. This is from 150,000 photographers. And if you're not finding photos inside Canva, you can find some within Unsplash a lot of the time, and just upload them into Canva, and then you can add filters or whatever you want to. You can crop them. And so this is really great if you're building your website to be able to get the stock photography for that. So keep in mind, if you're using Canva for some kind of design, the photos that are available there aren't necessarily photos they wouldn't necessarily work for a background photo inside your website. And so that's what Unsplash would be for. I'm sure you could find a way to get it done. But yeah, this is a really, really great resource. Again, yeah, this is super straightforward. You just start typing what you're looking for. For example, the one that's in the screenshot, I typed in entrepreneur, and this is just the very top of the selections that came back. And I think they had a few thousand, 770 photos came back. So lots to pick from. Any questions here?
No questions with Dr. Barton. Also mentioned that Pixabay also has free photos as well. Awesome.
Very good. Okay, so the next one here, and these are kind of related here. This is WordPress. WordPress has a free option, and for building your website. This is something that I believe that non-technical people can really get into. I haven't really spoken a whole lot about the level of technical savvy you need for these different tools, but I'd say for WordPress, if you're at the 5 out of 10 or so, and you just kind of self-rate yourself, I think you could get in here and put together a pretty good website. It's not there's no code that's necessary. But WordPress powers 38% of the internet. 38% of the internet is built with WordPress, and you can create just entire websites. You can do blogs. You can do stores. All of that is possible within WordPress. It's great for entrepreneurs. You don't have to hire a developer. There are developers who specialize in WordPress. So you may have a designer who comes up with the design on what they want it to look like. WordPress is a platform, and they have some easy building block things that users can do by themselves, and then they have the ability to upload entire templates that were completely customized by a developer. So very scalable, very user-friendly if you want to use one of the existing themes that they have. Like I said, you do the code in order to do that, and it is completely customizable. There are a lot of plugins. For example, I mentioned that I have that talent network page, and what it is, my WordPress site at the top has kind of an introduction paragraph, and then it invites people to fill out the form below, and the form below is actually a Hubspot form that is embedded in there. So in Hubspot, they give you the thing that say, hey, just copy this and paste it in on your website, and it'll automatically show the form. And there are a couple of settings that you can adjust, but it was really straightforward, very easy to use. WordPress is a platform, and but it is also has to live somewhere. So when you host your website, you can have your own server that's being hosted on GoDaddy, for example, or one of the other companies. So you can install WordPress and host a WordPress site straight from there, or you can go to the WordPress website and host it there. And they have various things that are various levels and features and whatnot. They go up, I think they may go past $45, but for just a basic website, that's kind of the high end on that. So what I wanted to show you on this page, though, is that this is one of my pages for the Talent Network. I have some stock photography that came from Unsplash, and then I basically have my cursor in there, and you just do inline editing, and you do it right in place. You can change the text color over on the right and the background color, and it uses building blocks basically, and you just rearrange them in whatever order you want. And you might say, hey, I want a block that looks like a form, or I want a block that looks like a calendar or whatnot. And they have third-party plugins for pulling those kinds of things in. And yeah, you can say I want 2 columns or 1 column. So it's pretty customizable. It's a really great solution. Okay.
And you touched on it with the GoDaddy comment, but John asked, do we need to buy a Bluehost subscription in order to start a WordPress blog?
So Bluehost is one of the companies that will host WordPress for you, but you can go to WordPress. Trying to remember if it's WordPress.com or if they have a .org or whatnot. I think it's just WordPress.com. You can go there, and they will host it for you as well. So as I mentioned, it's a platform, but it can be installed on any server. So if you have your own server that you want to manage, you can do it there. Bluehost is one that will host WordPress for you. That's what they specialize in. WordPress will host it for you as well. In fact, if you go to WordPress and you don't even have a website yet, you can purchase your domain straight from there. They will host the page for you and then give you the ability to go in and say, hey, I want the email to go through GSuite, or I want it to go through Microsoft 365 or Zoho, and you can do that all from WordPress.com. Okay. Any other questions? No, we're good. Okay, so the next one, this is going to come across a little bit odd for some of you, I think. It's Medium. So Medium is a site that basically has articles about just about everything in the world, and it is a kind of a it comes from all kinds of authors from all over the place. And the reason I put it out here is you can be a consumer of the content, and I think you get a certain number of articles you can read in a month for free. But if you join, it's like $5 a month. And but the reason I brought it up is so that you can publish. This is a way to publish your ideas, and it shows up in all kinds of internet searches. And your articles can be surfaced in like a Google News or an Apple News. So you can position yourself as an authority and in whatever your field is, and you can publish articles out there that you can send people links to, and you can actually make money off of them. So I thought this was just the coolest thing that, I created this this post here, 3 qualities of an effective IT executive. And look at that right there. I got the Unsplash picture that was included. And I did kind of cite who the person was that it came from. It's still in a draft form, but I wanted you to see, like, you can make something that can be consumed by others, and based on how many people read it, you get a portion of the $5 per month that they pay. So you have a way to monetize and get your thoughts out there, and be able to get some, make a little bit of money on it. Now, this would be an alternative to doing your own blog potentially. And there are some rules around making sure that Medium doesn't want you to post the same thing on their site that you've posted in just a ton of other places. So you want to look into that before you come up with what your strategy is. But I just thought this was a really neat concept, and I've run across some really interesting things on there. So I was wondering if anybody has any questions on that. No?
No questions on that one.
Okay, very good. All right, we'll move on then. The next one is Mailchimp. So this is kind of in the theme of getting your ideas out there. So we talked about Medium as an option. So Mailchimp is this is a way. It started as just about getting mass emails sent out and having a mailing list. And you can certainly use it for that. It ranges from being free to being up to $300 a month or so. The free tier, you can have up to 2,000 members in your audience at a time per blast that goes out. And they are known for their email marketing, but they've expanded in some other things. So they have online ads, some landing pages, social media posting. You do sign up posts and postcards and whatnot. But I did include a couple of screenshots, very non-intimidating. There you just kind of say, hey, what recipients do I want? You can have subsets of your recipients, and you can control what that says. It comes from Dave Bellomy or it comes from SumoStrategy. The subject, you can customize that to even have their name in it if you'd like. And then you have your content. And when you click on design email, this thing down here comes up, and you pick from a template and you just start entering in the information. And it's a very simple, straightforward process for doing that. You can create links to things. But the really cool thing is that Mailchimp provides analytics on the back end. So you can tell what your open rate, what your click rate is, and what did people click on and what did they not click on. And so if you don't have something like this on your website, like a sign-up form for your newsletter, this is a great option for that. Mailchimp will give you the tools you need in order to go create that sign up on your website, and then it'll automatically go into the Mailchimp recipient list, if you will, of folks who are getting your emails. Alternatively, you could use something like Hubspot to get them put into your CRM system, and they use an integration that exists to get them into Mailchimp. So that would be potentially another option for doing that. Any questions on Mailchimp?
Doesn't look like we have any questions, but I'll say if I can put together multiple newsletters a month on Mailchimp, anybody can.
I think you're selling yourself short, bud. That's good. Okay, now we'll move on to LastPass. So LastPass is LastPass is the password management tool. I went ahead and gave this a thumbs up. I'm a big believer in getting in security. Okay, it's super important when it comes to passwords. The thing that folks don't understand is that if you're using the same password in multiple places, the bad guys, they may hack something that you don't even care about. It could be Walgreens.com for for uploading photos to be printed or something. And if they get the passwords for that, what they do is they go to bankofamerica.com and arvest.com and all of these different ones, and they use the same combination. And that's how you get hacked, and you get personal information stolen, or even worse. And so I think it's super important to have really robust passwords. And so LastPass has a free option for individuals, and they do have a family plan that's less than the $8. And then for companies and teams, you can get up to $8 per user per month. And so the basic premise of it is that you only have a master password for LastPass that you have to remember from now on. And I think that's why they call it LastPass. It's the last password you have to remember. You only remember that one, and you install LastPass on your different devices. So it installs on your iPhone or your Android. It installs in your browser. There's actually the ability to install it as a program on your computer. And I believe that if you do that, it has some capabilities on non-web pages, like other programs perhaps. But you can see here in the example, there's Facebook, and when you go to facebook.com, it has the little icon there, and you'll see that it will recognize your Facebook login if you have more than one. So you have another person in the household who has an account, it'll list them both, or however many there are. And you hit the button and it'll fill it in. You'll notice also the shipping address in the second example there. So you can put your personal contact information. So it'll go ahead and fill in a lot of forms for you. They've bolted that into their solution. And then on the right, this is one of the neater options, I think, is it has a password generator. It's just a random generator that follows the rules that are there. You can control the password length, so it can be 12 or 36 characters long. And you say, hey, I want it to, follow the rules of having uppercase or lowercase or whatnot, depending on the site you're on. Hit the generate button, and it'll generate a password. And it is completely random, and it's not something that's going to be guessable. And you're also not going to be able to remember it. But that's the whole reason why they said that why they call it LastPass. So you remember the master password, they remember all your other passwords. I've been using this for a couple of years. I've been super impressed with it, had really great luck. And it also has some features for families where you can kind of have a single repository for those passwords. Where it works well for teams and in your company is that you have the ability to use LastPass, and you just get a subscription for each person on the team. You can give permissions as to which sites someone has access to the password for. And in some cases, you can even choose to say, look, they have the ability to auto-fill the password, but I don't want them to see what it is. And so that's a pretty neat thing. They also have some sharing capabilities. LastPass is a really, really, really great tool that I use every day. So yeah, next, any questions on this?
No questions on that.
Okay. All right. So that brings us to the last one. This is Expensify, and this is one that as a person who has designed technical solutions for folks in the past, when I ran across Expensify, it just blew me away at the level of thoughts that they put into what they were doing and what they were building for folks, just to really think on what process each user is going to be going through and what information they have at each step of the process and how easy they made it. So it's very, very, very intuitive. The design is somewhat elegant in certain places. I didn't really show a lot of screenshots, but they have smart scans, so you can take a picture on your phone, and it will automatically read everything off of there, to the point that if you are at a restaurant, and I usually, when I go to a restaurant, especially when I was on someone else's team, I would have the detailed receipt that showed what we got, so that if there was a policy about alcohol or whatnot, that would take care of that. And then next to it, I would put the receipt that had where you fill in the tip and the total. And I would take a picture of the two receipts in one picture. And Expensify was good enough that it read the totaled number that I had handwritten in as the amount that goes in there automatically. So very great. It's a highly configurable solution there. It does have all kinds of integrations with QuickBooks and Great Plains or whatever system you might use. for doing your accounting, and it's a great tool. You can set permissions on what people can do and what the approval levels are, and how things flow through your system, through your process, to make sure you have the right checks and balances in place. And they also have an Expensify card, which I've never used and never really looked into, but evidently the end in mind on that is that it's hooked to your bank account, and that it settles every day, and that they are able to, if you use that card to make your purchases, they automatically fill in the expenses for you. And I guess there's a different level of detail that they capture because it's theirs, that would keep you from having to manually enter in expenses, even through the very simple to use Expensify interface. So there is that. I don't believe there's a cost to that. And I think that what's in it for them is they get some kind of processing fee, just through the terminal that's being scanned through. So Expensify is a really great deal. All right. Are there any other questions?
Morgan asked, does Expensify work with QuickBooks, or is it a replacement for something like QuickBooks?
No, it works with QuickBooks. So this is not an accounting solution. This is a expense tracking solution that integrates in. And so those things would feed into QuickBooks through an integration. So, okay. All right. Well, that's all I've got. And it looks like we're landing pretty close to on time. It took a little longer than I thought it would, but that's
perfect
awesome.
Timing.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. I guess we'll see if anybody has any last questions for Dave before we conclude.
Okay.
Well, if not, Dave, we really appreciate your time, your presentations, fantastic presentation. This will be made available on our YouTube channel, which we will also plug into our website, startupjunkie.org. So thank you for your presentation, and I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today for this presentation, and we hope to see you at future ones.
Awesome. Thank you.
Everybody have a good day.